doctor, octa, dis, tis, is, respect. Ha ha, no. It's not the two-time talking. Fooled you, didn't I? It's me. Robotron, code 2003. And this is Smash TV. The Slayer. Movies are an art form, and like all art you will also always have one buffoon who thinks smearing his excrement on the wall can be considered art. Well, to some it's still art, but, well, to call the Slayer art would be like calling a train wreck art. To call the Slayer a movie would be overreaching. This independent movie about a group of summer camp counselors who are waiting for, well, who are chasing a murder of kids that aren't there. Or, well, stuff goes on and it makes no sense. The plot doesn't make sense and changes mid-movie, the acting is atrocious and every scene feels as if they just rehearsed the line. Which usually is one line, followed by an awkwardly cut follow-up that repeats the cringe. There are moments in the sequence of still images where it's clear that they decided to film in the local park and just rolled with the punches. But no worries, the next scene it's all gone. The makers of this project also decided to put a blooper reel in the credits which isn't much better than the rest of what you just witnessed. The sentence "so bad it becomes good" isn't given to this movie. That would be overreaching, and yet, I can only but tell you to watch it cause you have to see how bad this is. You will not believe me otherwise. Drop that. Trooper Hook. Trooper Hook is a 1957 Western movie about a white squaw and her son who needs to be returned to civilization by Sergeant Hook. The Apache chief, father of the son, escapes and hunts them down to reclaim his son. Trooper Hook is a typical 50s Western depicting Barbara Stanwyck as a tough, stern survivor of the ordeal she had to go through and that which awaits her. As the story progresses, the sergeant, played by Joel McCrea, starts to understand and appreciate the woman and the culture and gains the respect of some unlikely allies among those who wish to see her destroyed. Trooper Hook is a story of that era, with which I don't mean it's something bad but merely something typical for the time. It deals with some heavy material but merely skims the surface of it, not rubbing it in or being overt about it. It's a movie from a decade where everything was neat and proper and pristine despite the ugliness underneath. Check that. The Penny Dreadful Picture Show. Penny Dreadful, a kooky and mid-century carnival version of Batman's Harley Quinn, is looking for love and invites several gentlemen to her cinema to watch horror shorts together. Will she find the right match, or will she dump them in blood? That short premise I just masterfully narrated makes this movie sound like an interesting movie. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a low-budget indie movie that awkwardly weaves together the plot of Penny finding a man with mediocre horror shorts. Why Penny lives in a large empty cinema complex with her two monsterly friends is beyond me. Why her potential mates are all badly acted morons you want to see killed even more. I think this movie could have been more interesting with more funding, more people Penny could attempt to woo during one movie as she moves through the cinema in a time-bending way, ending up alone amongst the corpses of her failed lovers before the credits roll and teaching the audience that if you are too picky you're bound to end up alone. As it is, however, the Penny Dreadful Picture Show is a pass. Drop that. The lure? Two beautiful sirens get picked up by a family to perform in a nightclub, and then one of them falls in love with a young man who she is willing to give her tail for. The Lure is a Polish movie that is loosely based on the Little Mermaid fairy tale. It's aesthetically pleasing and interesting, but it's a musical. And I do not like musicals at all. So even with this movie, the moment they started to do their sing and dance routine, I lost interest and got annoyed. The songs aren't catchy or fun, at least not to me, though it did give me a little more insight as to what modern Polish music is like. The movie is visually stunning, so it would have been nice to have something auditively pleasing, but alas, I can't say I wouldn't recommend The Lure, but seeing my bias towards musicals, I can only say you should check it out and see, and hear, for yourself. Check that. Neighbors. A young couple with a newborn baby suddenly get new neighbors. The problem. The new neighbors are a college fraternity known for its wild parties. Cue a sort of tug-of-war between Seth MacFarlane and Rose Byrne versus Zac Efron and his fraternity. Let me premise this by saying I think Seth MacFarlane is an unfunny dick and not high on my list of people I'd have a drink with. Zac Efron is pretty but too pretty and not all too talented in my opinion. And Rose Byrne, well, she's fine, but her timing on comedy is of a high school play grade. Or this movie just isn't that funny. Like most frat and war between neighbors movies, this one had potential but it fell flat quite quickly. Watch Animal House or Revenge of the Nerds instead. Drop that. Demoniacs, the Demoniacs. A band of pirates shipwreck a ship for its plunder and proceed to rape and kill two sisters in the process. These sisters form a pack of the devil and seek revenge on the sailors. Or do they? This movie should have been interesting but it fails in basic storytelling. Throughout the movie I wasn't sure whether or not the girls were actually dead or not and when they should have made a pact with the deal. Which for some reason is merely a man with affiliations with some kind of clown. I'm most likely missing stuff but I would think that you convey this decently. The horror is nearly non-existent, dressing up someone as a French clown isn't supernatural and a revenge story is made with having our victims actually have revenge. Sure. There's nudity but you don't build a movie on that alone, especially not if the acting is bad and the sets look like cardboard. You shouldn't stick around for the pornographic nature of it either. A disappointment. Drop that. Supremacy. Tells us the real-life story of a recently paroled white supremacist thug who, not long after his release, ends up shooting a cop and fleeing into a house where a black family lives. They are taken hostage and, well, stuff happens. Anti-racist movies usually follow the same plotline as they attempt to show the humanity in the inhumanity of the situations they depict in order for audiences to feel and experience the wrongness of it all. Seeing this is based on real events, they didn't even have to sugarcoat anything and just show it raw. It's therefore strange to me that towards the end of the movie the perpetrators are not completely vilified and still shown as having humanity within them. Supremacy isn't a movie that's on the same level as American History X or Mississippi Burning. It's more subdued, closer to the chest and less bombastic in its portrayal of racism. And that, more often than not, these attitudes are acquired in order to fit in or survive among those with stronger convictions and less humanity. Supremacy only scratches the surface of this. Which is why, with their bombastic portrayal, movies such as American History X work so much better. Check that. Bridge to Therabitha. As a kid I have seen plenty of movies that captured some kind of magic and made me fall in love with the wonder and possibilities the characters in those movies experienced. Wait. Was I a kid? What are we talking about here? Are my memories even mine? What's going on here? Static sound. Bridge to Therabitha offers up the story of an emotionally rejected boy who is forced to grow up too fast and needs to step up as a man. He encounters a cute, playful girl who takes him into her world of magic and adventure, allowing him to experience childhood again. Till something happens. I won't spoil the movie by revealing what happens, but overall this movie didn't connect with me. Maybe it's my age, but the magic felt forced and not sincere. Am I polluted knowing this was made by a company that pretends to be magical but is merely a cold-hearted machine set to destroy childhoods? Have my experiences in Live made me too cynical for this stuff? Maybe. But I do know that other movies still make me believe in wonder, magic and the joys of youth, so maybe, just maybe, this movie just isn't magical enough. Check that. Devil Girl. Biker movies. The ingredients: rock music, fast driving, leather-clad babes and strip clubs. A nice mix that often falls flat on its face due to lousy plot and bad cinematography. And thus we add Devil Girl to that long row of disappointments. We follow Faye, aka Faith, as her car breaks down and she gets stranded in a quaint town where nightmares and a mysterious killer clown stalk her. Whether she can escape isn't the question. What happens while she tries to get out, though? cue religious zealots, pseudo-zombies and monsters, a naked devil girl, painted completely red, and some nudity. Sounds interesting on paper, but the execution is lacking. Jump cuts, bad music, sucky chase scenes, bad acting. Sigh. This should have been way more awesome than what we got. Drop that. Under the Silver Lake. A young man, played by Andrew I'm Not Spider-Man Garfield, meets a beautiful and mysterious woman who suddenly disappears without a trace, with major hints of foul play and serial murder. This prompts the young recluse to stumble and fall into an esoteric, semi-religious web of intrigue and conspiracy where everything is connected. But to what and why? I always enjoyed puzzles, cryptology and conspiracies. The notion that everything or something is connected and part of a larger, mysterious plan. Under the Silver Lake is one of those movies you'll have to see more than once, as you won't be able to discover all the hints and Easter eggs on first viewing. It's a compelling movie with good acting and very nice visuals that enhance the already wacky premise of conspiracy and give it an almost surreal feel, which gets enhanced even more in the backdrop of the rich and not so rich of the City of Angels. The movie and its ending are something to think about. Watch attentively, let it all flow in, enjoy the ride and ruminate about what it all meant. Smash that. That was it for today. I'll see you next time. And remember, violence, speed, momentum. Yeah.